say to people, I know I didn't do it. I am sorry that your feelings were hurt. I'm sorry you went through that.
Yeah. So usually, that's why when I say the I'm sorry, I will say, I will let them know what it is that the apology is for. Or it could be saying, I didn't realize how this affected you. I apologize. I like to use the word apologize as opposed to sorry.
Right.
I apologize for causing the hurt, or apologize for being unaware of whatever. So that gives it a whole different thing, and people are not so used to hearing that.
No, they're not.
So they will listen to it. The I'm sorry it's just like speaking into the wind and nobody hears it.
Yes. So when I think of those two words, sorry, it's kind of like, well, you are a sorry person, or it's about sorrowful, whereas I don't know the root of the word apology, but I do agree it has more clout. Yes.
Another thing that can be said when somebody takes offense or feels, and you may not have had anything to do with it, or you're just a spectator. Where one of the things I say is, it's unfortunate that. And basically, you're kind of empathizing without taking the ownership or responsibility for the hurt. So I like that as well, too. When something happens that the person slashed out at you, and he really has nothing to do with you, and you just happen to be a good, handy individual or present, then I would say it's unfortunate that you see this event as XYZ. I didn't realize that. So you're not apologizing for your behavior, but you're letting them know that you understand what's happening for them.
Right. And as you said, it's about demonstrating that you care about the other person's hurt feelings, or where if somehow something was harmful to them. That
part of understanding them, that's the third of the four competencies. Emotional intelligence is the social awareness. It's also sometimes called being empathetic, because empathy is one of the components of understanding the other person's feelings.
Yes. And what's the difference between empathy and sympathy? Is there?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I talk about this when I teach my classes on emotional intelligence. I do ask, do you all know what the difference is? And people think that empathy means just feeling sorry for somebody, a loss. And what I say, no, sympathy is feeling whatever feeling the other person's feeling. So you come in and tell me how angry you are with your boss, and I get angry with your boss as well as you tell me your story. So I'm sympathetic. I am in sympathy with you in your anger. I'm feeling the anger. Or you tell me you're going to Disney World and you're very excited. I'm excited with you. That's sympathy, owning the feeling. The empathy is understanding the feeling, knowing what it feels like, but not feeling it at that moment. So you can get angry with your boss. I understand why you're angry. I see your point, but I'm not angry with your boss. I'm not caught in that emotion that you have right now. You are going to Disney World. I can see you're excited. I'm not feeling all excited, but I understand that you are. So empathy is understanding the other person's feelings, but not being caught in it. The difference is that you can only help other people as a managerial leader when you are empathetic. You can only help people move through emotional crisis as a friend or a partner when you're in empathy. If you're in sympathy, then the both of you are, in the whirlpool of that emotion and are caught up and cannot escape.
Well, I'm wondering if someone is excited that they're getting married, and I've said to people, I'm excited for you. So where does that belong?
Well, if you actually feel the excitement, if you feel excited, then you're being sympathetic. But if you understand their excitement but are not feeling the excitement, then you're being empathetic. You can like the fact that they're all getting married and it's happy and you think that's wonderful for them, but you are not excited the same way as, let's say, it was a family member, your daughter, your son is getting married. Now you are excited at a real different level than if a friend is getting married.
So what I'm hearing is that there's some kind of space between the person and the other person who's listening, and they stand as a separate individual.
In the empathy part, yes.
Right,
yes.
and they look at the other person as a separate individual.
Yes. And they can understand the feelings but not get caught up. So if you're all upset, if I'm upset with you, then I can't not help you problem solve.
Yeah, and Carmen, there's a term called merged support. And what that means is that sometimes if, say, you're angry with your spouse and you tell a friend and your friend really agrees with you, he's really lousy. He's awful. How dare he treat you that way? And that is the way a lot of people look to support other people, but it's merging with the other person and not holding that space and saying, wow, I can really understand how you would be angry with that kind of treatment.
Exactly. So I hadn't heard of that merge support, but that's exactly what I called in the sympathy. So merge support is you are thrown in and you buy the story that they're telling you.
Right, exactly. You buy into it, and therefore you can't hold it in them as something to look at and help them look at it for them. Because now it's kind of like misery loves company, and we'll be in this together, and we'll join the hate squad together, right, and that sort of thing.
And that's what people want. When they have, people like to be either the heroes of their stories or the victims of their stories. And when they're the victims, they want as much, quote, support. And support means their loyalty. And I'm going to use words that are being thrown out there right now. Their loyalty, like unquestioned loyalty. If you really were my friend, you too would be just as upset as I am. You know?
Right.
And therefore, if they don't do that, then people say, well, you're not my friend or you're not supporting me. So people want others to buy their story and not question that they may just have one side of the story or one part of the story.
Right. So if you question it, then you're disloyal. Yes. And that's very undermature, and it doesn't create individuals who are true to their own selves, but people who are living in fear and need to conform.
And it's also very manipulative. The person who wants the unquestioned support, and if he doesn't get it, they would blackmail you with feelings like, well, if you were my friend, or if you really like me. So then they kind of blackmail you with their hold you hostage with feelings. That's extremely manipulative, also passive-aggressive. I use those two terms interchangeably.
Right.
And not emotionally intelligent. And the other thing is, people love being not emotionally intelligent because we watch reality shows, soap operas. Can you imagine if everybody was emotionally intelligent in those soap operas and somebody starts saying something and we say, oh, I think you may look into that yourself.
Yes, right.
Nobody would watch these shows.
Right, no drama. Like we like the drama.
Drama is what's at the core of being emotionally unintelligent. Some people are emotional junkies. They like the high of being dysfunctional.
Oh, that's interesting how you put that. So, emotional junkies?
Yeah, they want to feel. I had a friend who was very. She told me that. She says, I have to feel I'm in crisis because otherwise I will know that I'm alive.
Oh.
Now, she had some problems.
Yes.
But I was just taken aback when she said that. I said, wow. I said, you can feel other things. She said, but that makes me feel alive. So the whole idea for some people is that they have to have these fires they have to put out, or these crises, or so that they feel because their adrenaline rushes. They feel that they can then do stuff, take some action to solve a problem, make themselves feel so needed.
Right, needed. And some people can be addicted to their own adrenaline.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So that's what keeps people emotionally unintelligent.
Right.
It requires us to accept who we are, look at our strengths, look at our areas that we may want to develop, or maybe we don't want to develop, and acknowledge those are areas that we just may need help in, or support in. I, for example, I'm not real good with numbers. So when I do, numbers like checkbook reconciliations or something, I have to make sure that I'm well rested, that I'm fed, I set aside some time, and I have a calculator with me.
Right. You really take care of yourself. You prep yourself. I
know that area requires props, requires attention. I don't fool myself into thinking, I can do this. I don't remember names. You have to get write people's names down on a piece of paper so I can look at it again.
Right. And we have just a minute left, and we were at social awareness. So the fourth component of emotional intelligence
is relationship management, which really focuses on the other three. Self-awareness, which is about confidence and knowing yourself. Self-management, which is about being adaptable and coming from choice and knowing that there's many different ways to present your feelings or emotions. Social awareness, which is about taking care of knowing the other person, being empathetic, recognizing other people's moods and emotions, taking all of that, and then you can have good dialogues, relationships, conversations with other humans.
Right.
So manage that.
To manage relationships. And Carmen, I've been doing just relationships for a very long time. And I think it's wonderful that you have taught us last week on mindfulness and this week on emotional intelligence. And I want to thank you, and I want everyone to know that I am interviewing Carmen Rivera. And your company is called New Insights Inc.biz, B-I-Z, and go there to find many, many interesting articles like Taming the Monkey that Carmen Rivera has written. Thanks again, Carmen.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
My pleasure, my dear. And this is Dr. Duffy Spencer saying goodbye for now and wishing you great relationships.